And time for my first guest today on the Win Thomas File, and that is Gene Moran, his book Running on the Spectrum. Gene, thanks for your company today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now then, let's start with the name of the school. Where's the school the book's all about?
Right, well, the school is located in North Wales, but the location for the book purposes has been changed, as has the name. And obviously, you might guess that the name of the individual students and the teachers, etc., have all been changed. But of course, the locations are all true locations.
So what's the name of the school you're using in the book?
The school I'm using in the book is Ysgol Abati.
Abati, okay. So what was the first day like? It's quite a bit of a mystery to you, was it?
It was a great mystery because I moved there from an independent boys' college. So I suppose you could say I went from one end of the spectrum of education to the other. And it was very daunting. It was a strange environment because it didn't really look like a school. It looked like a large country house. It was very quiet initially because no students were there because they got bussed in at a later date. And it was peaceful. But then throughout the day, again, it went to the other end of the spectrum. It became noisy, became disorganized, relationships were very strained, and the proportion of staff to students gave a lot away because there was about 8 students in each class, but in fact they had 3 or 4 staff come in with them. Right. So completely different to where I was from.
So this was a hostel, really, wasn't it? Providing meals as well?
Yes, the hostel was on a different site, about a mile away, up quite a steep hill. And it's like that in the book, and it was like that in real life as well. So the children would come from hostel in the morning, arrive about 8:45, stay throughout the day normally, and then head off back home or to the hostel, which was their home, of course, about 3:30.
So being the kind of place it was then, there were volatile pupils included in who was there.
Sorry, say that again, Wayne.
I'm saying, considering that it was a hostel, there were volatile pupils included.
Yes, they had very demanding characters, shall we say, and personalities as well. And they came from all over England and Wales. In fact, Wales only had probably about 3 or 4 out of the 50 at that time. So they came from the Far East, they came from the Southwest. They did come from the Welsh Valleys, of course, in North Wales, but that was a lower number.
And a wide range of groups, age groups as well?
Secondary age. So they went from 11 up to 19.
Okay, right on. And what tickled me was there was lots of Daves in the pupils. Lots of people named David.
There was, again, I have changed the names, but it was quite interesting. One of the things I didn't want to do was to directly associate any of the students or staff with who they actually were. But of course, that was difficult because I wanted to give it a flavour of Wales. And you can't really give someone a flavour of Wales unless you use names like David and Geraint and Bring, etc. And I know many Davids, Geraints and Brings. So I had to include them in the story. So my way around that was to actually use the names of friends and family and explain to them that their name would be in my book. And they were all quite impressed with that, even if the character in the book did not match my family member's character, shall we say.
Absolutely, yeah. But some boys there had no respect for the law, did they?
No. It was very strange because one of the first things I got asked to do when I worked in hostel, as I worked there as well as in the school, was to take one of the young boys to it was actually Wrexham police station, because he had to attend there due to mischief he got up to. And when I was there, the young police officer, a lady, was very polite and very good, but she searched through the drawers and what she was trying to find was the pad, literally, from taking fingerprints, because the story's set 10 to 20 years ago. And she couldn't find it. And he calmly said, "It's in the top drawer on the right." And I was so taken aback. It was so laid back for him to be there. I would have been horrified as a 14-year-old being at a police station. But he really was at home there, to say the least.
While we're on the question of pupils, Eve was a pupil that stands out quite a lot in the book.
Yes, she does
A
indeed.
real good runner.
Excellent. Yes. And well, she was a rare find. Not a rare find because of the school, but a rare find in life, really. A young person that naturally ran and loved running just for the pure love of it. And having a running background myself, though not at her level, she was so easily recognisable as being unique in that.
And the idea for a mini marathon was conceived for really around her, wasn't it? Where was that
It
from?
was. That was the first thing because I thought she was very good, and I did my best to prove this to myself. Um, and then I took advice of a friend who was a PE teacher. He did a lot of running himself, and entered a lot of his students in races. Who taught at the boys' independent school that I had come from. Um, and he listened to what I said and said, "Well, the obvious thing to do is test her out, entering a race," and that's what I did. And she was very impressive to say the least.
Where was the marathon run from then? From where to where?
That particular one, it wasn't a marathon as such because you think about a marathon as being a specific length,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the hill races are not necessarily exactly 13 miles, a half marathon, 26 miles, and it was one in North Wales in the Capel area.
Right. So, and there was a cross country run as well, wasn't it? In the grounds as
Yes,
well.
it was. It
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Yeah.
The regular runners there. Yes.
Oh yes, very much so. I mean, the first time you could say it would probably be equivalent of the group of runners you might get at a current park run, where you're going to get some go along and do their 5K in 17, 18 minutes fairly comfortably, and others are taking 45 minutes to an hour. But she was right up at the top. She had no concerns and no problems at all with just running for the love of it and doing extremely well. It was the next event where she stepped up a peg, shall we say, and was against running athletes.
Yeah. Is this the one which was a special schools cross country competition on St Valentine's Day? Is that the one you're speaking about?
The one where she stepped up was more the one on the Welsh coast,
Right.
along the coast. The the school's competition, I was very confident that we had a group of youngsters that would do very, very well. Mainly through Eve, because her interest went through the ranks, if you like, and others got involved and liked the success and liked the fact that she was getting a day out of school occasionally to go and compete. that was very much of interest to them. And one of the things that a lot of youngsters have in special schools is they have running as one of their main sports because they don't have the facilities normal high schools have. I mean, to take someone for a run or a jog, all they need basically is training shoes. They can do it in their normal clothes to an extent. So it's an easy fix. You get some kind of physical activity into a special school.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. Just going back to normal school days, and obviously being a Welsh school, St David's Day with English pupils, that must have been an interesting kind of thing to do.
It was, and it was quite amazing. I mean, it was amazing because they had never come across anything really like it. Not so much because there's obviously a St George's Day in England, but because of the enthusiasm of the Welsh staff for St David's Day and for Wales. That I think is what really surprised them. The fact that we all seem to have different characters, different interests, but when it was St David's Day, oh, the daffodils came out, the leeks came out, the singing came out, even if we're not very good.
Right.
With wild enthusiasm, shall we say.
But going camping on Snowdon, that must be an experience as well, isn't it?
Yes, it's something that I've done several times. The first time I did it because I was going on to do the Welsh 3000s and I wanted an early start. And I realised that as great an experience the Welsh 3000s were, staying overnight on the summit of Snowdon is a wonderful experience in itself if you're prepared for it. If you can get the right weather, it's amazing. And I've taken various groups and people up there just for that alone now. You lie back there, you look up, you see the stars, you don't hear a thing. It's amazing, really. It is. It's an event in itself.
And it's incredible sunrise as well, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've been very, very lucky. I think one out of, well, I'll say 50% of the time, actually, I've had a good sunset and a good sunrise the following morning for whoever I've taken up. But I do handpick the particular date depending on the weather.
Right, okay. Just explain to me, you mentioned the 3000s there. Can you explain what that is entailing?
Yes, there's a bit of a debate whether there's 14 or 15. I'm old-fashioned, so I still say 15, because apparently it's been argued two of the summits are too close together now to be separate mountains. So I'm going to say there's 15 peaks over 3,000 foot in Wales. And going back to, I suppose, the 60s, the idea was that you would try and get to the top of each peak over a 24-hour period, which in itself is hard work. And then people started trying to set records for it. And it became that you really wanted to try and hit 12 hours. That was like the ultimate, to get from the summit of Snowdon all through all the peaks, get to the last one within a 12-hour period. And a guy called Josh Naylor came down from the Lake District, a farmer, lived in Wastdale, foot of the highest mountain in England. And he ran it without any pre-attempts, without any pace setters, with paths that are nothing like ours. And he did it in about 4 hours, 47 minutes.
Wow.
And this was like unbelievable.
Mm.
I mean, most people who go up and down Snowdon will look at 4 hours, 47 minutes as being a good time. And that record held for a long time. And then a chap called Donnelly came along several years later, a great run, of course, practiced the routes, got some pacemakers, had better footpaths, and he managed to take about 20 minutes off the time. That was all.
That's all.
And that stayed until I was writing my book. And then just as I was about to publish my book, a Scottish doctor called Finlay Wilde came down, and he took another 20 minutes off it. So now it's just over 4 hours. Wow. So I had to do a bit of editing on the book. And these guys and girls, because girls do these amazing feats as well, they're just a different breed.
Yeah.
You can't imagine how they do it, really, when you have walked the mountains yourselves.
So how many pupils did you have competing in that? Did you have pupils competing in that particular race?
When I did the 3,000 room, it wasn't a race. I just took them on it as a grade.
Oh, right, I see. Right.
And day out.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I think it would be a bit unwise to ask children to run those ridges, etc.
Well, the way you describe Eve, she could have done it, I think. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Well, thanks very much for that. That's absolutely brilliant to talk to you today. That's the book by Jean Moran called Running the Spectrum. More than I can cover in the book on this interview, but it really is an interesting book to read on how you developed your skills in a school of that kind. Thanks so much indeed.
Okay, thank you very much, Wing, for inviting me.